Okay. Thank you so much for taking the time out to
Sorry,
sit and
I
do
just-
this.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited.
So how's your day been?
Um, That's a great question, actually. That's one of the best interview questions I've ever heard. I'm being totally serious. Nobody ever asked that question. My day's been great. I went to the gym at 7:30 and I got home and I had to take care of my dog. I have a puppy that's 6 months old, so she's still like, growing up and stuff. But yeah, I went to the gym, I got home, took care of my dog, made a little bit of food, showered, relaxed. Still haven't had my cup of coffee, but that's okay. And now I'm here.
What does your like average day look like when you're working compared to like when you have it off?
I try to work every day, so I don't really like, it's not work for me. It's like, it is work and some of it sucks, but most of it I enjoy. So I try to work every day when I can. Maybe like 2 days a week I take off, or one day. And I couldn't tell you what that day looks like. It changes,
Mhm.
I've recently got in a relationship, so a lot of my free time I've been spending with my girlfriend.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah. I mean, I'm kind of a boring guy when it comes outside of music.
I feel like that's everybody. Once you pick something up outside of that, you get a little bit off. Oh my God, your dog is so cute.
Yo, sushi. Yeah.
How was the process like creating your debut album? You're about to release it. It comes out in September.
It was lengthy. I was pulling records from like 2 years ago, and some of the records I was pulling from, like, we were doing records down to 2 months ago. Like,
Really?
I have records that are 2.5 years old, and I have records that we made 2 months ago. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was just like, it was a little bit all over the place. I decided kind of last minute that I wanted to do an album. It wasn't last minute. I always had it like in my hopes to do an album, but I kind of just threw a whole bunch of stuff that I really liked together, because I had a whole bunch of records. I have way more records than that I actually didn't throw on the album because I didn't feel like they fit. But it was kind of like going through the pandemic and all that. I was like, man, when I come out of this, I gotta like drop a project. I just feel like it's time. I want to start shifting the sound into the alt rock direction and more into the rock and roll space. So I just feel like it was kind of like a long process, but also a quick process, if that makes sense, at
Mhm.
the same time. Yeah, it was easy. It wasn't like hard. It didn't feel like work. It just felt like we were just making music, and also had music that was already made that we just threw together on a project.
Did COVID affect your process in creating the album, like when it came to adding new songs?
Well, what affected me in COVID is I got really sick. I actually got COVID, and then after I wasn't sick from COVID. I was sick for like 2 days from COVID, 3 days, but it sparked an autoimmune disorder in me that I didn't
Oh,
know I had at the time. So I got really, really sick for like 3-4 months, and that shifted my entire change in music to like, I started thinking about why I'm doing this, why I got into music in the first place and why I'm doing it. So it wasn't like COVID that really, the pandemic and the isolation stuff didn't really like make that big of an impact on me. It was more like being sick and being like, it was the first time in a while that I felt like life is not like abundant, it's not gonna, like, you're not gonna live forever, because you
mhm.
get on this, like, you get signed as an artist. I was working so hard to get signed as an artist, and then I had like, a little bit of success, and I'm like on a high horse. And you think you kind of forget, you're living in a world that does have a due date eventually. So that's really what made me kind of dive in and be like, okay, what do I want to do? Fuck what everybody else wants to do. Fuck what every manager, label, whatever else is telling me to do. What do I want to do? Thankfully, I have a pretty supportive label and management situation. So there hasn't been too many bumps in the road. Maybe a couple, but
That's nice. Was there any time in the process of creating the album where like you felt like maybe you not couldn't get through it, but like what helped you get through any tough time you had while creating this?
I never felt like I had a tough time creating it. I think I
That's
just
nice.
in it if I did, I mean, I'm the type of person that's like if if something bothered me about a record and I couldn't get it right, I would just cut the record. I would just say, all right, fuck it. Let's move on to the next record. That's it, you know. If the
That's a really good
songwriting's not
mindset.
hitting, yeah, I mean, like I've written so much music in my life. There's you have no idea. There's probably 50 songs that are in my Dropbox right now that are fully like mixed out records that just probably will never come out. So like for me, it's I've been doing it so long and writing so many records that I'm like, okay, this isn't working out perfectly. Cool, we cut it. Go to the next one. Maybe the next one works out perfectly and maybe even better for this particular project, you know.
Hmm.
So I was never really like stressed. The only time that I was stressed is whenever we were mixing and mastering it, and the label's like, okay, we have a due date. We need it done by here.
Mm,
Needs to be done. Like that's when it gets a little stress. Okay, we need photo shoot done by. It's all the other shit. Making the music is the easiest part.
gotcha.
The photo shoots, the videos, the due dates, the social media, like all that stuff is that's where the work is in being an artist. It's not really making the music. Making well, at least for me, making the
Mhm.
music is the joyful part, you know.
Yeah. Is there like a specific song on the album that you have like a really strong connection to, or maybe that like you have a memory that's really close to you?
Well, there's two. When you talk about a memory that's really close to me, Numbers Game, which is a record on the album, is all about me being sick and me being like, I don't even want to look at myself because I'm disgusted and like who I am. So that's definitely a deep, meaningful song. I mean, the lyrics are just totally about that. Um, and then as far as a song that's like, you know, my favorite and that I really enjoyed writing and that I enjoyed performing. Hey, enough. Right. Come here. I want an interview. Come here. Come here. Um, Daddy's Coming Home is probably my favorite, just because that's the most rock leaning. Let me grab her. Come here. You know you're in trouble. Come here. Come here, baby. Uh, yeah, Daddy's Coming Home is probably my favorite to perform and my most like favorite record, but I think the most meaningful one and the one that has the most meaning is Numbers Game.
Your upcoming single, My Anxiety, comes out on September 3rd. Do you have like in your words, how would you describe the song to somebody who's like listening to it for the first time?
Um, I would describe it as upbeat but kind of sad. If you listen to lyrics, I think most people don't really listen. Like maybe not most people, but there's a definitely a percentage of people that don't listen to lyrics. They just listen to like the movement of the actual song and the instrumental. They might
Mhm.
even be listening to the lyrics, but they're not understanding what they mean.
Like
So if
getting
you're
a
one of those
connection.
people, yeah, if you're one of those people, you're gonna be like, oh, great, this song's sick. It's like you know a mid tempo, upbeat, like like kind of alt rock dance record. But if you listen to the lyrics, it's really a sad song. It's me talking about my anxiety and like addiction problems I've had in the past and stuff like that. So there's kind of two sides to it. It's like I think for the first time listening to it, some people might feel really amazing and feel like it's oh wow, this is a great song. It has a really good like feeling to it. But then like on second listen, if you listen to the lyrics, you're like, man, it's kind of sad. It's almost like the song itself and the way it sounds doesn't really present as sad, but when you listen to the lyrics, it's a little bit more intense and emotional.
Hmm. Do you have a favorite song on the album?
Yeah, Daddy's Coming Home.
Oh, right. I did ask that.
Yeah, I,
Um,
I'd say it's Daddy's Coming Home. I mean, I like Daddy's Coming Home. I like Watching. I like Numbers Game. I mean, I like them all. There's like I
mhm.
really enjoy them all. But I think Daddy's Coming Home is my favorite just because like I'm a rock and roll head, and that's the one that is closest to where I want the sound to go. Um, so yeah,
Would you say that song's
I'd say
also
that.
like one you're really looking forward to perform live?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I've already performed it live to like a small crowd in Venice, California, for like this weekend thing, and uh, when I hit that one, people feel it immediately because I'm like at the top of my register. I'm pushing my voice as much as I can. the band feels it. You know, it's very like, it's kind of a little bit of a sloppier record when you take the pieces apart, but it just feels really good, you know?
Mhm. For some of the people who maybe haven't listened to your songs before, you had a pretty big song, Cigarettes on Patios, that came out in 2019. I want to touch on that really, really fast. What was your reaction like seeing it climb viral on charts?
It was great. It was amazing at the time. It was the best feeling in the world. My whole life, all I wanted to do was be, not my whole life, but like a majority of my life, all I wanted to do was get to the point where like I had a hit song, you know? And
Mhm.
now I look at it and like, now it's always like in the moment you really, really respect it and you're like, oh my God, this is going, holy shit, this is like, you know, a hit record. But now I'm like, now I look at it and I'm like, man, I wish it was that, you know, I wish I had a record that was doing 500 million streams versus
Mm,
100 million streams, you know? So it's like,
yeah.
there's always, in the moment it feels great, but then you keep focusing on the future, you know, it's important to, I've kind of learned, I don't think that I appreciated the present enough in that kind of like, I wasn't really in the state of mind to appreciate it enough. I just wanted to keep like going and going and going. And I feel like now if I had that record, I would appreciate it more than I did. But I still, it was still an amazing feeling, you know. It was still like one of the greatest feelings in the world to have family members and friends call you and be like, "How the song's playing." I mean, it still happens, you know. It's
Mhm.
like the record has been out for what, 3 years, 2.5 years now, and like
Yeah.
it still happens all the time when friends call me. They're like, "Oh, it's playing in the bar or whatever," you know, friends from Florida and stuff. So it's a pretty cool feeling. I mean, I never thought I would be here in a million years, so I cannot complain.
And lastly, I want to ask, is there an artist who, this could be an artist who is dead or alive, who would you most want to collaborate with?
Um, the Rolling Stones, back when they could actually, like, I don't know how those dudes sound anymore, you know. And rest in peace, Charlie Watts just died yesterday, the drummer. That guy was a legend, so rest in peace. But the Rolling Stones, Janis Joplin would have been really cool to collaborate with. She's dead also, rest in peace. Bob Marley, Sister Nancy. Like I'm into a lot of old school reggae stuff, even like some salsa artists. Like I want to start doing like rock and roll and also introducing different languages and different styles of music like salsa or merengue or things like that into my albums. You know, I think that's really cool. But yeah, I think the biggest one would be Rolling Stones. I really look up to those guys and I really appreciated what they did for rock and roll.
Mhm. Thank you so much for taking the time and doing this. And I listened to the album, by the way, and I love it. I've actually like listened to your music since 2019. So it's really nice to get to talk to you. And I wish you the best in the future and have fun at your um, upcoming festivals and concerts.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, great talking to you too.